This is like literally the argument that I used to make about NATO over and over again, and people will yell at me so much. So I'm in this unique predicament now where on the one hand, this is a great I told you so moment, but on the other hand, I also don't like the way that America is collapsing the international order. Dude, I'm telling you, these guys think that they're a part of the plan. They think they're a part of the plan. And it's even dumber than the American right thinking we must invade Iraq. We have to because democracy or whatever. Or, oh, it's going to be great. They have oil. These guys think they're a part of the team. They're not. This is why I say like the labor aristocracy argument actually doesn't hold in this circumstance. The only benefit you get in that situation is that you are not a part of you're not a part of the population that is under the boot, right? That's the only benefit you get. You must understand. Osama bin Laden killed 3,000 American citizens, right? On 9/11. And then the administrations that came after, both the George W. Bush administration and Obama, led to 12,000 American forces dying in the process. Millions of Iraqis, but 12,000 American soldiers died in the process. Do you think 12,000 families benefited from this? Like, even if you don't consider the lives of all of the people slain, all of the destabilization that came after that, like the refugee crisis in Europe, all this shit, right? Even people who are a part of the empire, they still suffer. They suffer so that capital owners can turn profit. It's awesome. It's great. Nobody wins except for a tiny, tiny group of elite pedophilic billionaires. That's what the MAGA dad will be like tomorrow. Also, please pull the son more to the left. He's too much of a lib. Important. Finally, some good news. A cow demonstrates a tool used for the first time in an experimental setting. Wait, what the fuck? Scientists say this is the first experimentally verified instance of a cattle using a tool. They're getting smarter. Cows is just like us, but Veronica the cow takes things into her own hands, or rather into her mouth. She's tickling her butthole. What the hell? Are they evolving? What the fuck is going on? It's freaky, bro. That's a freaky ass cow. Hey, yo, chill. Freaky ass cow, dude. Anyway, Europeans are only panicking over Trump's assault on the so-called rule-based order now that they find themselves on the short end of the stick for the first time. Welcome to the world you helped build.
To Davos. President Macron is speaking.
As a Turk, okay, in parentheses, pejorative, I welcome Europe recognizing that they are just like Turkey in this process. Nation states that feel as though they have a say in the process and maybe have had incremental gains as a part of like being in the imperial core. Turkey was never directly in the imperial core, but was a willing participant, right? NATO forces and all this stuff. And the benefit that you get is, at least for the longest time, you didn't get like dominated as hard as like Iraq did, right? But now the tables are turning. You ain't Israel, little bro. That's it. The only country that is a part of the imperial core that gets to do whatever the fuck it wants is Israel, okay? You're not Israel, France. You're not Israel, Denmark. You're Denmark. And you got land that we kind of want right now. It's looking good. It's looking appetizing, okay? Perhaps you should have not had Greenland, you know, if you didn't want us to come and take it by force. What was Greenland wearing? Rapist president. He doesn't understand no means no. Stop generalizing the European people into what our leaders think. For sake, guys, all you Americans are literally Trump. No, dude, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm speaking to the European leadership when I say this. Please understand, because these guys have benefited from the system. These guys have benefited from the system because they serve the same exact masters global capital. That's it.
Taking you across to Davos, President Macron is speaking. You may be wondering about the aviators. He's apparently had eye surgery, which is why he's wearing glasses.
More than 60 wars.
What more can I say when I'm literally demanding that European leadership get their act in order and fight back against my country? Like, what do you think I'm saying? When I say Canadians, rise up in arms, okay, and fight back against my country, I think you should be able to understand that I'm talking, I'm separating the population from its elected representatives, and I'm separating the population from being willing participants in American dominance, okay? And when I shit on Europeans that demand further vassalization, I'm talking about right-wing Europeans. I'm talking about right-wingers.
In 2024, an absolute record, even if I understood a few of them were fixed. And conflict has become normalized, hybrid, expanding into new domains, space, digital, information, cyber, trade, and so on. It's as well a shift towards a world without rules.
You need to get on the level of the Iranian and Venezuelan dissidents and start demanding they bomb America. I mean, I don't think it's going to get there, and I hope it doesn't get there, okay? Yeah, I'm going to be like, China, please, bomb Los Angeles now, please. Please, our people yearn for freedom. Our people yearn for democracy. Please bomb us.
Where international law is trampled underfoot,
okay,
and where the only law that seems to matter is that of the strongest, and imperial ambitions are resurfacing. Obviously, the Russian war of aggression against Ukraine, which will enter into its fourth year next month, and conflicts continue in the Middle East and across Africa. This is as well a shift towards a world without effective collective governance, and where multilateralism is weakened by powers that obstruct it or turn away from it, and rules are undermined. And I can multiply the examples of international bodies weakened or left by the key economies. And when we look at the situation...
God, here we go again, chat. I know. Kaya, I beat the shit out of Kaya. I'm abusing her. Okay, it's time. It's time for you to finally get this one. I love that half of the people, half of the Kaya Gators also like just don't have dogs in general, so they don't understand that, like, you know, sometimes they tweak is normal. Please, no, please show her mercy. Oh, this smells so bad. I will show her no mercy. Oh God, this smells so bad. I think it's a trachea or something. Oh God, damn it smells bad. Yeah, dogs make noises, you know, it happens. Oh my God. Oh my God. Chat, when I tell you this is the worst smelling thing I've ever... Oh, it smells like straight... Oh, I have to wash my hands after this. Jesus Christ, that smells like straight dookie. Lick it? No, dude. Oh, no. Wait, you don't want it? Why are you looking at me? This one is, yeah, it's a trachea, I think. There was a round gullet, a flat gullet, a braided gullet, and a trachea. And I think this one is the trachea. She's eating the Kirk. She wants you to try it? No, I'm good. Wait, hold on. Let's take a little break here. Let's see what she does. Uh-huh. She established good positioning. Very nice. Okay. Getting into it. Did you touch your face after touching that? Ew. No, I didn't touch like the actual part that I touched. I'm going to go. She's going to lick your face either way. I know. Good form. Very good. Oh, she's already cracking into it. I don't know if you guys can hear it or not. How many gifted subs to try it? No amount of gifted subs that you can give me will help. Will cause me to try that. All right, let's continue.
It's clearly a very concerning time, because we are killing the structure where we can fix the situation and the common challenges we have. Without collective governance, cooperation gives way to relentless competition. Competition from the United States of America through trade agreements that undermine our export interests, demand maximum concessions, and openly aim to weaken and subordinate Europe, combined with an endless accumulation of new tariffs that are fundamentally unacceptable. even more so when they are used as leverage against territorial sovereignty. And competition from
Europeans are, as Tarek Kene Shawa says, Europeans are only panicking over Trump's assault on the so-called rule-based order now that they find themselves on the short end of the stick for the first time. Welcome to the world you help build. And just as us Americans have no say in this process, you Europeans have no say in this process either. But considering that you're not America, you should have more of a say in this process. And if you were to rise up against American dominance and demand sovereignty, you would make it easier for people like ourselves to be able to do so as well. Nigel Farage and Mike Johnson, friends can disagree in private, and that's fine. That's part of life, part of politics. But to have the U.S. president threatening tariffs unless we agree that he can take over Greenland by some means without it seeming to even get the consent of the people of Greenland, I mean, that's a very hostile act.
Frank. You know, friends can disagree in private, and that's fine. And that's part of life, part of politics. But to have a US president threatening tariffs, unless we agree that he can take over Greenland by some means, without, it seems, even getting the consent of the people of Greenland, I mean, this is a very hostile act. There's no other way I can put it. Let's be frank.
Farage campaigned for Trump 3 times, by the way. No, I know. Hopefully, people will be reminded of this reality over and over again, and there will be a similar, like, Pierre Poilievre style situation in Europe as well. But it's not enough simply to lean into liberalism once again, because liberalism is done. Liberalism is over. If Europe tries to maintain its sovereignty through liberalism, it will fail. Okay, you need to go further. You need to go beyond. Same with the United States of America. Liberalism has no answer for this because this is a more honest and more vulgar version of what the liberal international order looked like anyway.
But now so many red lines are being crossed that you have the choice between your self-respect. Being a happy vassal is one thing. Being a miserable slave is something else. If you back down now, you're going to lose your dignity. And that's probably the most precious thing you can have in a democracy. It's your...
Did you cover the Carney clip already? Yes. Yes, I did. To be clear, this bargain no longer works is because it's targeting them. They had no problem with false international order that targeted and subjugated brown people. Yes, this is true. This is very strong rhetoric inside the frame it exists in. Yes, exactly. Make no mistake. All of this shit that's going on, all these guys that are like fucking complaining endlessly about this stuff are complaining because U.S. hegemony is now threatening their aesthetic sovereignty. They didn't really have full-blown sovereignty anyway, or at the very least, they were allowed to have like regulatory agencies or have some kind of like command over how, they want to exist. America let them have social safety nets. America let Europe have social safety nets. America let Europe have its own regulatory agencies so that you can have like, cleaner food and socialized medicine and the like. But now that America, by way of tariffs, is also taking that away and saying, no, you can't have any sort of... No, you need to take our chlorinated chicken. That's it. Like, you need to take our chlorinated chicken. You need to take our massive behemoth vehicles. And you need to act as though you like it. All of that patina is gone. It don't shine no more. Now you're beginning to smell the dog and see the dog that it was. That always was this, global, international, liberal order. A lot of people dismiss independence and sovereignty as an emotional luxury, something you get stubborn about for pride's sake, only to discover that giving up control over your fate means you don't control your fate. Okay, but Europe have not been sovereign in this formulation for 80 years. Would you really argue it was a bad deal for them before Trump? Well, that's kind of the point. You don't get to control whether the deal is good for you or not. Exactly. The only thing Trump is doing away with is the aesthetics. That's precisely the reason why it's been really funny watching all these European leaders talk for the last couple of weeks or the last week or so, saying like, you can just build as many bases as you want in Greenland, Mr. President. What are you talking about? You can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. Why are you saying my way or the highway? We're giving you Greenland. You already have Greenland. You have our life. You have military bases all around this continent. Like, what the are you talking about? And Trump says, nope, my way or the highway. I'm going to take it by force. Same thing goes for Canada. The aesthetics are going away. The liberalism is going away. Trump is saying, no, we're doing away with liberalism. It's done. It's my way or the highway. You are vassals. You need to act like it. You need to know that you're vassals. So now comes the new world order. Do you actually try to maintain sovereignty, maintain dignity, maintain whatever way of existence you want to maintain? Or do you still end up being servile little vassal states to the United States of America because the United States of America is defending capitalism? And the alternative is far too scary because you've been taught that it's scary. It's bad for you. The alternative is socialism, and you cannot have socialism. But one thing you won't have, and I can promise you that, is liberalism. It's done.
We are going to give guidance.
So the real question will now be, do you want socialism or do you want barbarism? And some people, I think, will maintain that they want barbarism. Right-wingers will. Hopefully, many of the liberals will recognize that perhaps it's time for socialism, an evolution away from American sovereignty, because American sovereignty is just defending capitalism, defending the interests of the international consortium of capital owners that have no interest whatsoever in what the working class's needs are, what the working class's demands are. They don't care about nation states. They don't care about boundaries. They care about profit, and that's it.
At some point to see what is a mom and pop that someone, maybe your parents for their retirement, about 5, 10, 12 homes. So we don't want to push the mom and pops out. We just want to put.
He's talking about mom and pop landlords, by the way. Good news for the forgotten man. The mom and pop real estate investor who has purchased 12 homes can breathe easy. The Treasury Secretary is looking out for you. Yeah, based. I love slopulism. Based. Armand Domolowski says, just watching the collapse of American hegemony in real time. Because Macron said we need Chinese direct investment in Europe in some key sectors. American hegemony in particular helped provide public goods, open sea lanes, a stable financial system, collective security. This bargain no longer works. Let me be direct. We are in the midst of a rupture, not a transition. Recently, great powers have begun using economic integration as a weapon, tariffs as leverage. Remember, on Liberation Day, I told you what Donald Trump is saying to other countries is we're going to fix this trade deficit. How can you fix the trade deficit if you don't have goods that they want? How can you fix the trade deficit if there is competitive domestic manufacturing taking place in those countries? Well, you fix it by force. Donald Trump uses the mechanism of tariffs to basically rewrite the way that trade is supposed to be designed amongst allies in the liberal international order by saying, look, you're going to get our chlorinated chicken, you're going to get our HGH boosted cattle, and you're going to get our corn, which many of these places already have the corn anyway. And on top of that, you're going to get our Ford F-350s, Ford F-450s. And if you don't, we'll punish you, we'll brutalize you, we'll make things really bad for you. On the other side, another country that is the manufacturing hub of the entire planet that is saying, oh, do you want EVs? We'll give you EVs. You want to move in the direction of renewables, into the future of energy? We got that for you too. And not only that, but it'll be incredibly cost effective. So, it's a real which way Western man moment. One of the main successes of post-war order is placing a near complete taboo on de jure territorial expansion. Of course, it was replaced with vassalization and interference, but now we're returning to the vulgar original, Trump in Greenland and Russia in Ukraine. Yes, also, there is one other country that has been doing that, for the record, regardless of the New World Order, and that's Israel. An American recognition under Trump 1 of territorial expansion into Syria, the Golan Heights. Israel took over Golan Heights by force and annexed it, and Trump recognized that annexation. And in this new grand design, you're going to need other security cooperative agreements. You're going to need new security cooperation. You're going to need a nuclear security. So now countries with nukes that don't have, that don't let America control those nukes, like the UK, can at the very least, demand sovereignty by force. France, I'm looking right at you. All of a sudden, the economic engine of the European Union, Germany, is no longer more relevant than France. France becomes the security guarantor for the entirety of the European continent. No, because U.S. hegemony was never about liberal values and friendship. It was always based on U.S. power. That hasn't changed. It's so funny. This is like literally the argument that I used to make about NATO over and over again, and people will yell at me so much. So I'm in this unique predicament now where on the one hand, this is a great I told you so moment, but on the other hand, I also don't like the way that America is collapsing the international order. I wish that countries could have come to that recognition on their own, independently, and through their own sovereignty initiatives, without having America literally brutalize these nation states, without America literally saying, no, fuck you, we're going to take over your territory as well. But this is precisely what I was talking about when I talked about NATO for years. This is what I was talking about. And I hope all the liberals who yelled at me because of the fears that they had about Russian incursion, fears that were realized after Russia did invade Ukraine, by the way, I understand that, will now realize that America's doing the same from your western flank now. So you have two options. Either you recognize American dominance and you say the alternative is much scarier, communism, Chinese communism, very, very scary, or what you think Russia is doing, even though it's not socialist or communist, right? And you're just, you're getting on both ends, or you fight back against it. America broke all the rules first. America wrote the rules, man. It's the same principle behind consistently claiming that China is cheating. China is cheating over and over again. After China was able to actually develop and become a competitor to the United States of America and become like a real hegemonic power, another global superpower. Anyway, where the frick were we? Well, I'm going to cover to every American who's sorry at r/Greenland. We're getting at least 10 posts a day from Americans apologizing, saying things like they didn't vote for Trump or don't support his policies. People, none of that actually matters. You can say you're different from the rest of Americans, but to the rest of the world, the distinction doesn't exist. To us, your country is a single entity on the world stage, and it's threatening its allies. Think about how you view other countries. For example, Russian opposition doesn't change what Russia does because that's their domestic politics. The same thing applies to the U.S. too, except you had the power to choose your president, and you may still have it. So instead of coming here nonstop to apologize on behalf of your country for the constant need for sympathy, focus on actually changing something while you still can. We get the same on Canadian subreddits. We know it's not Americans as individuals, but we have no choice to see them as an entity, just as they see Canada as one. We've never said we're going to use our stock of maple syrup to cover the dividend states, but the orange Mussolini can't keep our country's name out of his mouth. Oh my God, all these, it's so funny. It's liberals are so funny. Oh man. Americans figure out the hard way. Not all men, but enough men applies to international politics too. We know not everyone supported this, but enough did. Once again, in some ways this is expected, but in some ways it's also unexpected. Do you want to go back to the previous setting where you at least feel like you're sovereign, or do you want to actually be sovereign? That's the question I have for people. And some might literally say, no, we want to go back to the old way where we had the feeling of sovereignty, even if we didn't actually have sovereignty. Liberalism is that. From this day on, liberalism presents going back to the old method where you don't have sovereignty, but at least like Trump is building, military bases in Greenland, whether you want it or not. He's not directly taking the land, right? He's not taking an ownership stake over the land. Trump amplifies post that says NATO, not China or Russia, is a part of the real threat to America. So at what point are we going to realize the enemy is within? China and Russia are both boogeymen when the real threat is UN, NATO, and this religion. I put religion in quotes because it's not a religion, it's a death cult. Yeah, I went there. What? I don't even know what he's on, to be honest.